Everything just went dead.
Hey, good evening.
Hello.
Good night, everyone. We are back with you this week, and we have a special podcast for you. No special guests. In fact, we are one woman down. Notice I didn't say one man down. We are a feminist podcast. And so we have a very special podcast because this week is that Venus Ebony Star is on top of the world, and all of fans, especially the fair weather fans, they are back on the bandwagon. Diehard Venus fans has just lost 20 years. They're 20 years younger because Venus has usually put us in the grave. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let us get to our wonderful, as always, co-host this week. We have Andrine from Solely Tennis Travel.
Hello.
And we have our foreign correspondent, Janina, all the way from Ohio.
Hey.
Our one, ooh, that was an extra special effect. And you may notice our absence of Bridge Free Karen. She has real work. Unfortunately, we have bitches on budget. We don't pay her, so she has no financial obligations to stick around. In these parts where, love may give you the thrill, but love doesn't pay the bills, folks. So.
Well, she's like the WTA this week. She's retiring for the week.
Wah wah wah.
She's thinking long term.
That's a shade. That's a shady. Well, I guess we could start there tonight, ladies. Of course, there is me, Realz. I forget. The other man. There's a man there. We make a lot of noise.
Man down.
Well, a lot of women went down this week. First of all, in the Wuhan final, Muguruza, girl, I feel bad for you, but girl, I'm so happy because you're going to drag Venus to the Chitlin circuit if you try to push it to the And I wasn't about to have it. I do like you. But Venus had a tough road in that final, to that final. Kanta was, playing really hard, and then Venus was up 5-2 against Vinci in the third set, but decided, she wasn't about that life. But actually, in truth, Venus' legs gave up. She just couldn't, just couldn't push it anymore. So she had to basically conserve her energy and make the final push in the latter stages of the set, and she finally won through and got through the final. But Muguruza pulled out. Then we showed up in the premier mandatory event, Beijing, and we had 4 women pulling out.
Bitches were dropping like flies.
And
now
this is not even Rose.
The question for me is it's similar to what happens during just a tournament that you enter before a slam, right? The question is everyone sort of being just smart about Singapore or what?
Well, maybe, because it's rather interesting to people who pulled out, or at least 3 of the people who pulled out. Well, 4. Muguruza pulled out. Then you have Hala pulling out against Aruba. I can't even pronounce it, but she's from Spain, so I'm not even gonna try.
Aruba.
Yeah. I think you're gonna have to double R's are there, so you're gonna have to. Exactly.
Yeah, you
she
go.
pulled out, Hala pulled out, then Carla Suarez Navarro pulled out, and Carla, girl, I'm so happy Venus beat
I thought she won.
No, she won.
She won. Tosarenko.
Yeah, Sorenko.
Well, she wasn't, and
Diaz.
Diaz. Well, actually, no. It was only Halep, I think, is the only person who pulled out of worthy interest.
No. It's not worthy
saying
interest.
they're not worthy.
No. Wait.
In terms of Singapore, I guess. In terms
Wait,
of
you know what?
Yes.
You're in timeout.
No. Hold up. Point of order. Because Andrine framed this conversation.
Yeah, I did start it that way.
If people are pulling out just before a slam, and let's be real here. Ain't nobody checking for Coco Vandeweghe, Diaz to get in any big major finals. They are not in the running of the 20 girls.
I know. I was about to say. I was looking. I was like, wait, are you sure though? Because 27 people can make it into this final.
Exactly.
Oh
They're not in the running. They might be close. close, but they're not in the running. It
Well,
is
Such a
not
train
going
wreck.
impossible.
You know what? The
You know what?
WTA is a train wreck right now.
Stop it! It is no. Okay, wait
It's
a
not
minute.
a train wreck. It's not a train wreck.
Wait. Let's find out. Let's start. Is this an exaggeration, or are you being serious right now,
Nina?
Gina?
Well, okay, let's be real. Y'all know I ain't watching Asia. I'm sleeping. So I just kind of follow the news. I'm reading this and I'm like, she's out, she's out, she's out, she's out. But the thing is like, okay, Halep retired, right?
Yeah.
Right.
She's been injured. She's been injured for a long time. I don't think this is a matter of her resting up for Singapore. Even if in her head it is, she's not going to do well if she decides to play. I think she's probably done for the year.
I don't think so. I think she's gonna be
do.
there.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, the tour finals, they still have a while, right? They still have some time.
Well,
have some time, but
I think it's the last big tournament.
You know,
There's nothing-
athletes, for us, 3 weeks to recover for an injury is no time at all. But for athletes, it's like months.
Well, yeah, and
Right.
and that's how I'm thinking about it. I'm like, you're not getting better in 3 weeks. Sure, you're healthier than I am, I hope. but you know, I mean, it's not this. I don't know. Well, they do have miracle cures.
Actually,
we know that.
Yeah, she doesn't. But she's already qualified for sure.
Well,
And
that
she
That doesn't
definitely
mean
had
she'll
time.
play. And it
And the
doesn't mean
World
that she'll
Tour
play
final-
well.
But the World Tour final is in 3 weeks on the 25th. So because she didn't play well in Wuhan. She didn't. She lost early in Wuhan. And so I think this is a really good move for her to rest up early. I mean, like, I think this is a chance for her to do well because she got to the finals last year. I mean, when you really look at the people who are going to show up in Wuhan, the potential people, Simona Halep really has a good shot of beating these people. And it's indoor. So she doesn't have to contend with a lot of elements, and maybe she could be a little bit more smarter, more efficient on the court instead of trying to drag them back and forth.
Listen,
Yeah, but when was the
all
last
you
time we
need-
saw her play smart tennis?
Listen, all we need to know is that Flavia Pennetta has her number, and Flavia Pennetta probably has a strong shot of being there. But, you know, the other thing, too, is Simona
But
Halep.
she struggled too.
But, you know, Simona Halep she's got to be excited to show up at in the finals in Singapore being the number one ranked person there, the number one seed. That's a pretty nice opportunity to show up and be like, hey, I don't have to think about this. I don't have to think about playing Maria Sharapova until
Semi-final.
the semifinals, or
If
possibly
Maria shows up.
Is Maria going to
That's the
show
other
up?
thing.
Yeah. I feel like
Washington
Singapore is going to be a huge. You know what? This is my prediction without even knowing who's in it. You ready for this one?
Right now, it's
Wait.
called the Wounded Tennis Association. The
Yeah,
WTA is the
exactly,
Wounded
because I
Tennis
tell you what-
Association.
Venus is going to find her way in and win it all, and
No.
she's going to be taped from head to toe like
Stop.
a mummy.
Stop.
Do it,
Stop.
do it, Venus.
I tell you, but you see, but let's be real here on something. First and foremost, Serena Williams is out, right? And we can talk about that in a minute. Simona Halep supposedly is on the injury list. I'm not gonna say
Achilles.
she's an if, but she's going to be there. I'm gonna say
She's gonna be problematic. She's gonna
be problematic, but she will be there.
Yeah.
Maria is an if. Kvitova, up and down mano might be flaring up and again, and she might not be there.
Yep.
Then you have who's number 5,
Then you
Safarova.
have Lucy. Mm-hmm.
Lucy, who's supposed to be in a hospital bed somewhere, as far as
That's
I'm aware.
true. She's supposed
Yeah,
to be
and
sick.
for
So
what?
she's out, so she
We
missed,
don't
of
Look,
course.
wait a minute. That bitch ain't sick. She's in the hospital taking pictures. Sick people don't lay in their bed taking pictures. I'm not
Unless
lying.
you're roughing it
Stop
down.
it! Stop it! Andy Murray took pictures when he had surgery in the hospital. You gotta-
Exactly.
Nowadays, you
That was
gotta,
because
nowadays you have to take pictures.
You have
No,
to
no,
take
no.
pictures.
Murray
You're
took
right.
pictures because he needed to prove that he came out of the anesthesia alive. Because, you know, every time you go under, there's a chance that you might die. So that was proving that he was alive. Lucy didn't have surgery.
Nadal did the same thing. Well, actually, you don't know what.
Nowadays, I think you have to. I have to
You
say,
have to for your
nowadays,
social media fans.
there's
You have to.
kind of a. I think there's sort of a. I mean, there might actually be a little bit of a requirement for you to sort of prove you're sick. And if you could get yourself close to a hospital bed, or
You're right.
or in a hospital gown, or in something that looks like you're in with white sheets, I think it's a good idea.
I don't know if
Especially
we
for your
could be
fans.
any more jaded right now.
Well, especially for your
It's
fans.
dated. It's just like
Last year. I mean, last year when we had that whole Diva Doll debacle with his,
Appendicitis?
whatever
I don't want
madness
to talk
that was.
about that. That makes me very angry.
Okay, well let's
Well,
avoid
no,
that. Let's stay on track with the WTA.
well, I'm just simply saying,
Make your point.
So
Finish making your
Lucy is
point.
out. So I mean, it's and Radwanska. So the real legit people who are still in it. So the number 2 seed could very well be Fabio Panetta, who's right number
Maybe.
6.
Maybe. Well,
And then-
listen. So all this is a long and drawn out way to say that Venus has a really good shot, right? Of actually
Yes,
making
but
it.
honestly,
Yeah.
I do not want Venus up in there. I don't want her.
Why? Why not?
Because you know what? I don't know if y'all watch the match.
She hasn't made the World Tour Finals that often, you know. Listen,
I know that.
She could be. I mean, I hate to say this.
She gets to decide whether or not she's healthy enough to play, not you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Venus
all right.
Yeah.
All right.
No,
You
but see, what I'm trying to figure out, Reels, is why wouldn't you want Venus there? Given the scenario you've just pointed out, there are 4 chances. She has a real shot of just comfortably.
She can win it all.
I mean,
Okay,
I don't know about that, but she can comfortably be there.
I'm on that. Okay, I am with you there. With the, Venus is the queen. Venus should win everything. I am one of Venus' #1 fans, and I'm all there for that. However, I saw Venus play throughout Wuhan. That body cannot sustain that much tennis in such a short period of time. It cannot.
In 3 weeks, but even if she loses, what we're saying is she doesn't have to get all the points that is required, that would have been typically required to get there, given the scenario that you've just pointed out.
Right.
Which is that, you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. She listen, because she now has to play Ivanovic, right? If that doesn't go well, because Ivanovic should be somewhat rested, she went out fairly early. So Ivanovic and Venus, maybe Venus doesn't win that, which could be very much a blessing in disguise, that she gets to rest, and then she gets to go into the next tournament and maybe make up some points there. But we all know there's plenty of wiggling room because all the top ladies are not entirely certain. Because Maria Sharapova is also committed to Fed Cup. So if she decides that it doesn't make sense for her to play Singapore, knowing that she's got Fed Cup duties.
And she has not played a competitive match since.
In a long time.
In a long time. She just played one against Barbara, and she retired in Wuhan.
Yeah. There are lots of ups and downs here. Venus might be the only recognizable name at that damn thing.
Uh-oh. God, what a marketing nightmare that will be.
And ladies, just so you know, Venus is back being the #2 American at 35.
Hey.
Just so you know.
Can we give her a round of applause?
Congratulations, Venus.
So unintentionally, we sort of jumped straight in there and went to the fact that Singapore scenarios without Serena means that players, all sorts of players can end up at the final. So we have no idea who's going to be there.
You know what else is interesting about this? What is the fact that Serena not being there, I think, is going to give other players confidence that they would not have had. So that just makes they're like, holy shit, she's not here. I can win. So
listen,
it's going to be a hot mess train wreck.
I love it.
I'm calling it now.
But you know how it is. I always say that.
Business winning.
Listen, I always say that when Serena is out of a tournament, it's like
step up.
It's like scavengers. They're like, let's get it. Let's get the meat off of this bone.
Everyone, right?
Exactly. That's the word. Everyone's gonna jump in. You're gonna have 3 setters. I want it. I want it badly, to be honest. I want this one to be.
You know what I need to know? I'm thinking that I'm probably going to be asleep during Singapore. What's the time difference?
You're going to sleep through that?
Well, probably. What time?
Well,
where in the world?
Well, it's Asian time. So.
Exactly. I'll be asleep.
About 12 hours. No, usually they're around regular time, no? I mean,
they're evening hours. So
you want to know what I saw in Wuhan?
What did you see in Wuhan?
I saw like a set here and a set there while I was getting ready for work. That's it. I couldn't stay up late enough at night to watch it start, to see the early matches there, local time.
Yeah, it's exactly 12 hours for you, something like that. So like an 8 p.m. match, it will be 8 a.m. in the morning for you.
You're right.
Yeah, it's not really working out for my life.
I was happy in Wuhan because I really thought that Angelique Kerber was gonna vulture another premiere event. She was gonna vulture all 5 premiere events.
Did you guys think that
maybe
she
it's
looked
not vulturing
thin?
anymore.
Did you think
she's gotten
did she
fitter.
look like
Yeah,
she's
she
dropped
lost
some
weight.
Gotten
weight?
fitter.
She lost some weight.
Just
Earlier in
like
the
in
year
the
too.
last couple of months, though. She looks thinner.
No, she
We'll
was.
also have to discuss that issue as well.
She lost weight. She definitely lost weight. It's
We'll have to
definitely.
discuss whether that's a legitimate question for us to ask of athletes. By the way, that's
Oh,
another.
Well, you know what? It is. Fuck everybody.
Okay, so let's go. Since we're on Wuhan, Singapore, we give the big ups Venus Williams. You know, girl, you really made my heart on fire. You made all your fans excited
Made your
this
heart
week.
sing.
I mean, it was such a spectacular to watch her in action. She was fighting, she was serving well when she was playing well in terms of like when the disease wasn't flaring up, and she made no excuses. She was fighting really hard. That grit and determination was there, and she was constructing some really nice points. She was looking to come forward all
It's a
the
fast
time.
court. It was a
And you
fast
know
court.
what?
Yeah,
We got
and
to
that's
see a
what I
part of
enjoyed.
we got to see a part of Venus that we don't ever get to see. You know what that was? She got pissed.
Actually, no.
No, she
Actually,
got a little mad. She doesn't, she doesn't overreact, but usually you get nothing from her. She's always so stoic and just like, okay, moving on. But the Hawkeye guy died, so Hawkeye died around the world, and there was no Hawkeye
no,
there.
Hawkeye only died at Wuhan. Hawkeye went
Well,
everywhere else.
yeah, I mean, I still can't quite. I need to understand. Did they choose not to have Hawkeye there because the company
No,
itself
the
was
team
mourning?
left. The
I think the
team
team
left.
left.
Is that what
The
it was?
team left. Yes,
Because
the team left.
I was thinking seriously, this is tragic and it's awful, but one person doesn't get to shut down a company.
Well, I told you what I
in,
believe in
in this
Hawkeye.
in this
Sorry, go ahead.
case, the entire team returned. I think it was a team from the United Kingdom, so the entire
Right.
team returned to the United Kingdom.
Okay.
The larger question is why they weren't able to wrangle up another team to show up,
Yes,
because
I don't.
that's kind of. I mean, that's
It's
a little
all
bit.
a little sketchy. It's a little
All
bit
right.
sketchy. But
Well,
anyway,
actually, from
wait a
what I
minute.
understood, sorry. Go
Hold on. Let's talk about Venus.
No.
There
I
was
was going back. I was talking about the Hawkeye people. From what I understood, I don't know if I'm right, but the people made comment. I think people were saying a lot of things which were not onto us because it was the way the news came out. It was a mysterious accident, etc.
Yeah.
I'm under the impression, and don't quote me here, people, that he may have died during probably trying to set up the equipment.
Yes. Yeah.
Have-
There was something like that. I think
Yeah.
it was supposedly something during that
Right,
happened.
something
because-
malfunctioned.
Well,
I don't know.
because you have to how Hawkeye works basically is that you're setting up several high position camera all around the courts, and then they take a mathematical projection of where the ball most likely would have landed to. There is a margin of error, and I
Okay.
believe perhaps in doing so,
The accident occurred.
an accident occurred and he was killed because someone wrote, like, oh, you can't really have these people going up to this, a very dangerous condition, etc., etc.
Oh, I
Maybe-
missed all that.
Which
Wow.
is really also interesting. It's interesting to note that something that we take quite essentially now for granted, and we will bemoan when it's gone, as we have in Wuhan, is a dangerous affair. Who knew?
Right.
I didn't
Exactly.
know that. I didn't really. I mean,
Yeah.
it's something I just take for granted, but I didn't know it was something that's dangerous and puts.
I
people to
honestly had no idea how it worked.
Right.
I
Well,
never
I
took
knew
the
how
time
it
to learn
worked,
it.
but I didn't really
Well,
know
yeah,
how.
but I mean, like, where the information comes from.
Right. So it's basically
I-
a mathematical projection. It's not
Okay.
so they take a graphic, which is kind of weird but it is said that it has to be done that way because the ball travels so fast.
fast.
I mean,
So basically, you have to trust the math. Okay, let's
Right.
just say you have to trust the math.
in
We're
my
gonna-
mind, people, if you want to how I believe in my mind how Hawkeye works, is that some computer genius is in the back drawing up some graphics, and while we're waiting, he's basically saying, "I think the ball kind of line here,"
You know
And that
what?
when there is no Hawkeye,
So cynical, so cynical.
he went
Stop
from being
yourself. Stop yourself. You sound
somewhere.
as anti-science as everyone else. Stop it right now.
I sound like
Let's
this is a
really.
Republican. This is a
Yes.
Republican explanation of how Hawkeye works.
Yes. Stop
Well,
it.
because we didn't have Hawkeye in Wuhan,
Yes.
Venus got a
Yes.
couple really shitty calls, and she got an attitude, and I kind of liked it.
Well, but I think everyone had an attitude throughout the time.
But
Because
Venus doesn't
everybody
do that.
also-
Venus doesn't do it.
Because everybody's sitting here going, I can't believe I don't got Hawkeye at this
Exactly,
tournament for
because-
one reason or another, and
Exactly.
I don't even have the moment to have compassion right now. 'Cause I'm in the middle
Yeah,
of-
Exactly.
yeah. And I'm pissed.
There was that moment constantly throughout matches where they all was inclined to say challenge, and then they realized there is no challenge.
Yeah, I appreciated
Yeah.
it.
But beyond that, I think the coup de grace for Venus and her shit was, Roberta
The
Vinci
Vinci?
trying to
The
come
Vinci
for
moment?
Venus.
Would you like some coffee? Would you want a tea?
Right. I mean, like, you see, the reason why you don't usually see Venus getting mad is because a lot of people respect Venus. Venus is an elder generally. Venus, she's very fair, and even during press conferences and just way she conducts herself generally. She's very, very,
Well, the only ones that don't are the older ones, because we always remember who accused Venus of cheating as well, right?
Who?
Yeah, I don't know this.
Who's the oldest woman on tour?
Schiavone?
No, the Japanese lady.
What's her name? She accused Venus of cheating?
Kamiko?
Wimbledon. Yeah,
Kamiko? Granny Goodness?
He says that every time Venus tried to redo her toss, it was because she was attempting to cheat by seeing where she was. So, I remember that. Listen,
Why?
I
don't remember that.
Usually hiding behind the baseline or something?
Listen, you don't remember that? You do not remember that Wimbledon match under the roof with the rain. That was the only time I've ever heard. I was like, listen, have you not seen Venus? Venus always corrects her toss.
Right? Sorry.
I wish a whole bunch of other people would correct their toss too.
I mean, it's
Ivanovich,
like,
I'm talking to you.
No. But anyway, I get your larger point though, Reals, that it's often that Venus does not.
No, and I think but I think the other thing too is that if someone tried to come for her, she checks them right away with that Barbara back in dough. She's just like, you have a problem. Like we can deal with this right now. But Roberta Vinci was a little bit, and people were trying to white-splain it away. Yes, I said white-splain it away.
Oh dear.
Because I am telling you, had that been a person of color who had said that to another player, we wouldn't have been having this conversation would not have been said in hush. Because that player would have been dragged to the Chitlin circuit. They would have been. They would have dragged from north to south. And don't you people tell me anything otherwise than that.
Speak clearly.
Did you just say you people?
Yeah, I don't understand what you're saying. What's your larger point? Are you saying that Vinci was
Vinci? I thought Vinci was rather disrespectful because the point that Venus was making, that she kept saying that Venus was holding up player, whatever the case may be. The point when she did this in the tiebreak, initially when she complained, Venus double faulted anyway. Vinci won the point.
Yeah.
The second time when Vinci was going on,
Vinci double pointed herself. Yeah,
Vinci double faulted, and then she was on match point. Then Venus got match point. She complained while it was on match point, and Venus said the ball kid is still running, so you can't play. You literally couldn't serve, and then she's over there Vinci's getting pressed, and then Vinci threw the ball out. I was just like, girl, you don't come for Venus like that at all. It's disrespectful. It's completely disrespectful.
Well, I don't know if it's disrespectful, but I think at the end of the day, Vinci was just simply judging Venus by her own standard, that's something that Vinci did herself, which is slow play down when things were not going her way. So she automatically just assumed that's something that Venus would do. But we all know Venus doesn't even do things like that. We wish she was. Half the time I wish Venus would try a couple of those mental tricks, but she really doesn't do that.
Every time out.
Right?
Time out.
Venus is very old school. So, I mean, I think basically Vinci was just judging Venus by her own standard and by her own practice, her own very large area of sportsmanship, I will say.
And she was just trying to hurry up and get to them chicken wings.
There was an hope.
But she got all that money now. She could buy a whole bunch of chicken wings. She could buy a whole
right?
I appreciated it. Listen, I always appreciate a little bit of that happens
I do
between
too.
I think it's
I
fine.
love it. I love it.
Especially when you're like Venus and you shut it down immediately. Because Venus
And you
doesn't.
win the match.
Yeah, Venus is not going to be one of those people who's going to be called like a crybaby 10 months later. She's going to call you at something in the moment. So when something happens, Venus won't save it. She'll turn to you immediately after and say, did you have a problem in the match? Excuse me? And she'll let you know right away, and then she'll move on. You know what I mean?
How much did you love the exchange at the net between those two? Holy shit. Roberta couldn't get off that court fast enough.
Well,
she could not go fast enough. She was pissed. She was
I think Roberta was like in her mind, she thought she was going to drag two Williams sisters.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Well, you know what? She should know better. Nobody gets to do that hardly ever. I mean, she should have known before she even got in that match that she was losing. Because the fact of the matter is, you just don't beat Serena and Venus back to back. It hardly ever happens. So, girl, go eat your chicken wings and shut the fuck up.
No.
Have some coffee, have some tea, you know, whatever it is you need to do. You should have known better.
Oh, no. So there we go on Wuhan. Now let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on.
So, we want to say anything on the Serena absence from the tour now.
Well,
Serena has shut down her season.
The reason why we have 27 women in contention is because the number one player has, yep.
Well, the people who are supposed to be in lockdown for the tournament are really flying the coop, basically.
Well, you know, let's talk about that for a minute.
So let's go back. So Serena announced that she withdrew from the WTA finals as well as Beijing. And actually, the announcement was strange, right? Because it actually came through Beijing first. She announced the Beijing tournament is how I found out about her withdrawal.
Well, Patrick made some mention about it beforehand.
He hinted that it was.
He hinted that he thought maybe this was a good idea.
Right.
Because he felt she wasn't fully motivated, and you should never go out on court if you're not fully motivated. And, you know, I know that people say Patrick needs to shut up and blah, 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 but I think at the end of the day, Patrick does a lot for Serena when it comes to talking. We all know she doesn't ever want to give too much, and she has found someone that is comfortable.
Right.
Yes, comfortable doing it for her, and he gives us a lot of insight. I don't think in a million years we would have ever heard Serena say, I have a broken heart. We would have never got that from her. I think he probably encouraged her to be honest, and I think it makes her more human. And I think it's fine. I appreciate the fact that she is being honest. You know what? I'm just not feeling it right now. It's been a long, tough year. I've played with injury. I've played with a lot of pressure. I'm glad she finally said, I've felt the pressure, because I was so sick of her saying, I don't feel any pressure. I don't. Bullshit, you don't. The whole world, the whole tennis world felt your pressure of trying to get this career Grand Slam.
The whole tennis world give you the pressure, and then everybody else.
But she denied it. And you know what? Honestly, I think if she would have openly talked about it beforehand, that would have alleviated some of the pressure. Say, yeah, you know what? This is a big deal. Yes, I do want it, and I'm going to try my hardest, instead of trying to ignore it and not make it a big deal. It may not have been the same type of big deal. You know, she may have been feeling it differently as opposed to how tennis fans were feeling it, how her fans were feeling it. Everybody, you know, may have wanted it for different reasons, but I think it would have done her great justice, and I think the outcome would have maybe been different if she would have owned it from the beginning. And I hope that she learned something from this. And I think it's absolutely fine that she said, you know what, I'm done. I'm done. I'm gonna be done with this year, and I'll see you next year. And it ain't like, you know, she can afford the fines, whatever. And it was interesting that I heard about it. I heard Mary Jo, Paul Annacone, and Mary Carrillo discussing it, and they were talking about, is she going to be fined, and how is the WTA going to handle this? And it was just interesting that Mary Jo basically, you know, Paul Annacone said, I think she's doing the right thing. She shouldn't play. She shouldn't show up to do the media circus, because that defeats the purpose if she's going to rest, fully rest. And Mary Jo said basically they need to rewrite the rules for her. You know,
I don't
believe in rewrite. You don't need to rewrite the rules.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that I agree.
Compassion for her. You know what I mean? You don't need
no. Let me clarify here. I'm not saying that I think the rules should be written for her. I found it very interesting that, and it has nothing to do with Serena, that Mary Jo would speak that out loud. Because to
Why?
me, that said, they can do whatever they want, and they can change things and requirements at any moment. Hush,
Well, they
hush, without
can.
anybody.
Yeah.
Right, but
Well,
nobody talks about it.
not
Nobody.
hush hush. You can discuss it. No, it's not hush hush. I mean, it's the same. It's the same thing that happens with the men on the tour, at least on the ATP side. When you reach a certain age and you've had a certain number of tournaments under your belt, I think you can all vote for those things. And I think it's the same thing as women, as people, as basically as players play longer and are on tour longer. I think people just have to evaluate old ideas, and maybe part of it is that that the rules haven't caught up with having a player who's
That dominant.
older and dominant still, and what that might mean, and how you might have to encourage that person to change their calendar. And I don't know. No, I mean, we don't have our WTA expert here. I mean, I know quite comfortably about ATP because they talk about it often, because we have our favorite player is old, so they mention it quite often. They mention it quite often about
Yeah,
Federer.
we know that he's no longer required to do
certain things, but
Yes.
I've never heard that said of the women's tour, and they
I
don't
don't-
really talk about it very much on the women's tour.
Gathering
So,
what I heard Anna Cohn, Mary Jo, and Mary Carrillo talking about, it didn't sound like that rule was in place like it is on the ATP.
That's
It didn't
interesting.
sound that way. Mm-mm.
Okay.
Well, for me,
I mean, they didn't say one way or the other, but that's what I
Mhm.
gathered from the conversation.
for me, honestly, I really don't care that she doesn't show up. And I think, in some ways, it makes sense. And I can see if this were any other player, if this were Kim Clijsters or whatever the case may be, and these players have all left the tour, inexplicably in the middle of season, Justine and Arden, whatever the case. But they were saying they were retiring, but we now know they weren't really retiring. They were taking mental breaks, but whatever they were needed to do. But I sort of feel like, considering this year in particular, it was very, even if Serena had achieved a career Grand Slam, there were just a lot of things that were on top of pressure and whatever the case may be, and I can see it leading to mental fatigue. It was a lot of pressure, like you pointed out, and to me, sometimes your job, this is her job, yes, I do know, supposedly she has a responsibility to the tour, etc., etc., but I don't think she can make the tour's problem her problem, because this is another way in which the WTA keeps fucking up themselves. They keep marketing for two people. It's either Maria and Serena's show. And when these two players are not in the field, you're scrambling to try to create some bullshit narrative for everybody else. And look, you have a potentially very exciting tournament coming up, where you have so many players who can get into the World Tour, into the finals, and can make a real, genuine name for themselves. And as Azarenka, your name could have been up in there, but apparently you weren't trying to vulture in tournament. Madison Keys, same goes for you. But those are aside. I really do think that, for me, it's like, this is understandable. I am not surprised that she decided to take a break from the tour right about now. I mean, like, her playing 3 more weeks of tennis wasn't gonna mean or prove anything. And for her right now, and she needs to get her right life. And I mean, she is 34 people. And typically,
Right.
34, they have already been done and dusted. And
Well, I don't understand though. Does Serena standing out for the rest of the week, does that need to be defended in some way? Why are you all launching a defense? Is anybody critiquing it? I'm just curious.
People are critiquing it, and I mean, even if they're not necessarily critiquing it, it is a very odd circumstance in the sort of a way, right? That she decided to be like,
Well,
oh,
it's an
I lost
odd,
US Open,
it's an
and
odd
I'm not
circumstance because
gonna
of
play
the
for the rest of the
excuse.
year.
It's
Right.
an odd circumstance only because if Serena had written that she was injured, it would be perfectly
wouldn't be
reasonable for it
questioned.
to, it wouldn't be a problem. It'd be
But
fine.
let's realize that she is saying she's injured. She did say, I need to rest my body. I've been playing injured all year. What makes it unique is she said, basically,
the heartbroken piece.
I'm
Oh,
heartbroken.
right.
My feelings are hurt. I need to mentally and emotionally recover. And typically that isn't a good enough reason to not
that's
play.
really what it comes down to. I mean, I think so.
I don't
Honestly, I think that's the big
oh.
thing about it, right? Because actually, I don't know. We also saw an article that was. I mean, we'll admit. Thank you very much, Mark, on Twitter for interpreting the interview from Patrick. I think that was in French, and that's when Patrick also admitted that Serena has actually been playing with a bone. edema on her knee all year.
Yeah.
Which apparently is quite painful. I don't have a lot of injuries, but for people who do, it is a very painful injury, and she's been playing with it all year. And if not for the calendar slam hunt, we might have actually seen Serena take a bit more breaks that we're used to seeing throughout the year, right?
Actually, no, for the past several years, she has played a full schedule.
No, I know, but I'm saying if not for this hunt that she's been on. We've all acknowledged that Serena seems to be on a hunt to secure her #1 ranking for some reason.
Right. Well, I think
and that was something that and that was something that was also talked about, given the fact that no matter what happens for the rest of the year, her #1 ranking is solidied. Nobody can take that from her. So that, you know, that was another thing. I mean, there were many layers, it seems like, as to why the reasons that they were giving as to why she's not playing anymore. And I liked it because we don't get that. Usually you get, you know what, a player's injured, they're pulling out, when you know damn well it's more than that. No, truthful.
I mean, well, true.
It's
I mean,
true.
because
you can usually.
Because I have felt that a lot of these Vidal absences has been because of heartbreak or something emotional, not necessarily.
And look what he just said. Nadal just gave an interview very recently, maybe for China, I don't know, whatever, but I just...
Yeah, he's there. And maybe
he said, I am feeling better now than I have felt all year on tour. My emotions are under control. That's what he said. His emotions. So what's that tell you? He's been a fucking head wreck. Which we all knew because he had, but we don't give players, we don't like to acknowledge, or the media doesn't like to acknowledge that when you're that good and you're at the top of your game all the time and you're just losing, all we expect is for them to battle back because that's what champions do, right? So you expect them to fight, and get back to the top. In this interview, Nadal admitted, it bothered me mentally. It has bothered me. I've not been playing great, and my head hasn't been clear on court because of it. That's what I took out of it.
Well,
I mean, what else can you take?
Well, that's kind of Nadal's thing, right? But see what happens. See, this is what
nobody ever says it.
No, but see, this is what's interesting. What's interesting is that for the first time, because this has always been the contention about Nadal, right? Is that Nadal is really honest about his emotions. Well, what you're really seeing is that on some level, he has been and he hasn't been. What you could, because there's nothing. If you look at Nadal's quotes now, you can't tell the difference between Nadal when Nadal was winning and when Nadal was losing, because Nadal was always not a favorite, even when he was the most dominant player.
Right.
So he's used to saying these things and saying that, you know, winning doesn't matter, blah 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 blah, until he had a year where he was losing a lot, and suddenly. And
winning
suddenly,
matters.
Winning matters. His confidence was coming from winning, and now it's really affecting me. So now we can actually see that these sort of claims that Nadal used to make about his own vulnerability at the height of his fame was somewhat disingenuous. It was not real. Mm-hmm. But now that he's really struggling, he can actually say, yes, winning isn't guaranteed. Well, no shit, motherfucker, it isn't. We always knew that. But when you used to say, even as a dominant player, that winning wasn't guaranteed, and you went out there knowing that you had a 90% chance of winning this damn match, now you really are living the truth of that moment. You're living the truth of not knowing if you're going to win a match. That's the real vulnerability. That's the real.
And I appreciate it. I do.
And that's wonderful. But that's always been the case. You know what I mean? And so I think it's nice that people are being honest about it. I mean, for me, listen, you know, I'm happy that I have a few people on the WTA side that I can be passionate and fired up about. But you know, but remember, my previous contention is I'm here just for the tennis. So the fact that Serena is not around.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a free-for-all, that's all good for me, because that's always what I want at the WTA side.
Right.
But I will say that if for some reason Federer ever shut his season down like Serena just did, I'd be devastated. Because listen, Federer is not on tour right now, and I'm sitting here going, this is nice. But I mean, it's just like, when your favorite's not on tour, the life kind of is not. It doesn't have as much zing to it, especially.
No, it doesn't.
I
You're
get
not as
that. I
emotionally
get that.
invested.
I get
Yeah,
that.
you're
But,
just not
but,
as invested.
Which
but
is
I
why
don't get
you have to be a fan of the game before you're a
that
fan
as
of a
well.
player.
Oh,
Right.
come on.
For
Of
me,
course, we all
no.
are fans of the game, but your emotional
Well,
intention
no, we
isn't,
are. The three of
Yeah.
us are. There are many, many people who are not. There are many people
Yeah, a lot
who
of my
have.
friends, if Nadal isn't playing, Venus isn't playing, Serena isn't
They're not
playing,
watching. They're not
Djokovic
watching a
isn't playing,
tournament.
they're not watching the tournament. They could care less.
Well,
They
I
don't.
mean,
When they're
sometimes.
I
and only in the
no.
second week when they're there, they're like, "Can you find a stream for me?"
Well,
I
sometimes. I
know
mean,
people who skip tournaments because someone has pulled out at the last minute. Well, what should I? You've bought your tickets, you've paid your money, you've booked your room, and then all of a sudden your favorite's not going to be there, and boom, not coming.
Well,
That's not a
I'm not
fan of the
gonna.
sport.
I'm not gonna judge that because, to be honest, listen, look, we all know that we're juggling watching tennis, right? Aren't we all
in our
juggling
daily
watching
life,
tennis?
it's true.
Yeah, with our lives. And so, if your favorite's not there, the juggle is not as real. That's just
The
But I'm
struggle,
not
the
paying
struggle
money that I
is
can't get back.
well, no,
Yeah,
yeah.
no,
I
I
mean,
get
I'll
that, but
show up. I'll show up at
if
a
it's
listen. If I
yeah,
paid my
if it's
I'm going.
I've
But
paid my
yeah.
money, I've booked my room, and it's 2 days before I'm supposed to leave, and Federer pulls out, I'm going. I'm going.
And you bet,
And you
and
know
you become
what?
the best. Then you become a Nole fan, right?
Oh fuck.
No, you sent him a
You know,
nasty tweet. You sent her a nasty
you,
tweet.
Andreen, are now in timeout.
I would say, Andreen, I would say if Federer shuts down his season right now early, I wouldn't be mad because this man has 4 children. And I think this man gotta spend time with his children. I'm all for that.
No, I can't. I can't deal. Federer can't shut down. Listen, I'm not going to the World Tour final to see Stan Wawrinka and Novak Djokovic only. I don't mind those two. I love them. Really, sort of, not really. But, I mean, I enjoy them. But I'm not going to the World Tour
You
final.
can go hang out with Donna. You can go hang out with Donna. And speaking about Donna, Donna got herself in the finals of an international. She's
I
in
think that
And
was
she lost.
wonderful.
Congrats to
I
her.
say congratulations to now. Because that
Yeah.
was great. I think what was she playing? Her second main tournament event, and luckily
Really?
got Donna mentioned in a final.
Well,
And was
yeah,
like,
that's
thanks, Donna. Thanks for this. I'm gonna give you 4 games, and I'm going to take this title in Tashkent. That's really great, though. I didn't see a lick of that match, and I was
I
trying.
don't think it was anywhere. I couldn't find it
I
anywhere.
think it might have been on a stream, but I didn't see a lick of that
Yeah.
match. So I'm
Nobody
sad
cares.
about that.
That's why.
But I would say, now we're talking about results. I gotta say, we're just talking to the ladies in a bit. Congrats to Radwanska, who got her life together in where was she? In
Tokyo, right?
Tokyo. Was it? Yes, Tokyo. She beat Belinda Bencic. She schooled Belinda Bencic.
Oh, these older to play. But you know what? Belinda Bencic was schooled by Radwanska, but it will not happen again.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Every now and then you play Radwanska when you were a youngin', and you're like, she's so good. And then you realize, wait a minute. There's a trick to this. There's a trick to playing Radwanska.
Before. I think she beat
I know.
Radwanska to win Eastbourne, I think. Eastbourne. And I think Radwanska
I am not
came
a
on-
fan of the so-called ninja at all.
You're not?
No.
Not well. Yeah, you're not. I remember.
No, I'm
Why
not.
aren't you a fan of Ninja?
I don't enjoy. I don't know. I don't enjoy watching her at all. I think I don't know. I don't like her.
She doesn't look like an athlete in person. She's a very, very slender woman. Her legs are
Tiny.
very slender.
She's so thin.
I would
But it
not
isn't
have seen
about
her-
how she looks. I don't like her game. I don't like
Well,
it.
I mean, there is something to appreciate about her game. What I dislike is when I hear people saying like, "Oh my God, she outthinks the players out there. Oh my God, she's so smart." That drives me fucking insane. It drives me insane because I'm just like,
She's such a
look,
smart player.
I like if she's so smart, why is she not winning everything? So when she doesn't
Exactly.
win, she's dumb. Like you can't because you're really saying your sport is full of shit.
Yeah.
Like you're not making any sense here. Because I mean, like it's about I can't even with this narrative. It just drives me insane. But I was really happy to see her because she's had a lot of adversity up and down, and she
How much tape did she have on?
Actually, initially there wasn't any visible tape.
Initially.
Initially, initially,
But then she brought out her safety tape because I think the safety
yeah.
tape. I think she likes a little bit of safety tape
But
on.
you know what? I mean, the tape is not when I mean, like I've seen her run tournaments when I went to US Open several times, but this year in particular, I when I looked for her, and really saw up close in person, and she has lost weight than she did in the past. Like she
She
fell
did not
low,
have any to lose.
right? And I'm just like, no wonder you are on tape because this body structure doesn't look athletic at all. Like this,
Well,
it doesn't
but
look
you know,
like
but it's not required for her, right?
You,
It's not required
yeah.
for
right.
it's
But
not required for her tennis.
but you
Well,
know
and we've
something
talked about this.
uh,
She can't bulk up.
right. She said she can't bulk up, and the coach actually said I have it somewhere. I have the link, but he actually said she's losing weight instead of what she should be gaining. And
Mm.
though you can compare men and women bodies, in particular when it comes to sport in event, I would say that one of the things that I noticed with the very consistent men who are consistent, is that their bodies are quite different from the men who are not consistent, and particularly their legs. The leg strength for men, the men who have developed legs or whatever, tend to do better in my mind. Than it makes a difference in their game and their ability to play the sport and not necessarily have a lot of injuries all over the place. When you
Well, you've
see,
seen Roger's legs, right? I mean, they're strong, of course, but they're quite skinny.
well,
Look at
no,
Novak. He's thin, too. I don't know. What do you mean when you say
no,
this?
they
Their
have very
legs.
ill-developed legs. They're not necessarily like massive like a birdage leg, but you can see the difference in their leg as opposed to watching a Gilles Simon leg.
I was just going to say Simone.
You know what though?
Chicken
But
leg.
You can see,
I
but
know
that might
yeah.
but that might just be an unqualified opinion and observation.
Well, it's also kind of like it's kind of like a superficial obligation, right? Because it's like you can't tell what's strong from what's not strong just by looking at it, right? That's the thing.
But you know, I do think that you know that you overall fitness, and you can tell fitness from not fit, right? I think you could, you know, I'm
Well,
not.
I mean, let's dig into this a little bit because there was some issue. We didn't talk on the podcast last week. We didn't get a chance to come together. And I think last week someone asked it was
Azarenka?
Azarenka in a press conference. Essentially, I think the person wanted to talk about her fitness, but went around and around in a circle and eventually ended up with, hey, are you going to lose some weight anytime soon, pretty much? That's what it sort of, and there were quite a lot of comments about it, and people were really enraged because they thought it was insensitive and blah, 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 blah. I want to know what you all felt about it. I sort of came out fairly strongly from the beginning and was just like, I think it's fine to ask athletes about their weight. I think it's all about context. If you're walking on a red carpet and I say to you, Azarenka, this dress looks horrible, how much do you weigh? That feels like it's about
That's not
a woman.
appropriate.
But
if you don't look as fit and you
yeah,
are
and you're
playing a
struggling
sport,
in a match and then you're withdrawing or you're having injury issues, I mean, you know,
I think it's fine.
I think we all had a problem with the way the question was raised, but then it seemed to me that there was some general consensus that
That the
it was
question
taken
shouldn't have been raised at all.
at all. And I thought, well, why is that the case? I don't really understand that.
Well, I am with you on.
Especially when she said, I'm not as fit as I should be.
Well, that's the thing too. That's one of the things I appreciate about Azarenka. Why she is my number 3, I think it is. My number 2.
Yeah, something.
Yeah, she's my number 2. No, she's my number. No.
Well, you don't know.
Anyway, she's on my list. She's definitely
She's
on my
your
list.
list. Yes.
Anyway, I do think that she did say, you know, I need to lose weight. And actually, this past weekend, I was looking at some Vika matches. They had some. You should probably check it out. Dramatic moments on the WTA.
Yes.
There's like 5 videos about clips and you know, whatever the case may be. And there were several with Azarenka because she's very vocal with umpires and whatever the case may be, very foul mouth as well. And she was rather slender. And
Yeah.
she up and down the weight particularly. And when Vika was in 2012,
2011, when she had her Nole year, like Nole.
No. She won she lost in 2011 to Serena US Open in the 3rd round.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about that was
when
her
she had
year.
that phenomenal year.
That was her breakout year. Was 2011.
Okay, yes. where she basically all of the potential that was there, it started to materialize in 2011, and she carried that forth in 2012
You
when
saw it.
Kvitova dropped the ball, because I really thought 2012 was going to be Kvitova's year. But anyway, Akitova. Anyway, she really was, that fitness was 2011, 2012, even 2013. In the middle of 2013, things went downhill, because in that 2013 U.S. Open final, Serena run her ragged. She was not fit for that third set at all. And she had the injury last year, and then it sort of materialized this year. And to me personally, I don't have a problem with them asking about the weight question at all, in particular in the context of the sport. However, I think what I would say is that these questions are not projected towards men. It's
But
never done
why?
this way.
Why do we
But
always use that as the final
because
point?
because I do think, because there is an issue, because maybe it's because you have to put it in context, right? And into sectionality and juxtaposition. In this case, juxtaposition, because women have always been, there's always been a weight issue you put on to women, and men balloon up and down. Maddie Fish was overweight and out of shape for ages.
And then all we heard about was his
Nobody
weight
wanted to
loss.
talk about
But
it.
we did. But see, this is the thing.
No one questioned Maddie Fish about his weight.
But Marty Fish was not Azarenka. See, this is what I'm saying. When you're going to do these parallels, they have to be legitimate. You have to say that you have to compare. You have to compare apple to apples. All right. Marty Fish was outside of the top 20 for a good chunk of the time.
Yeah,
right?
So nobody cared.
So nobody cared. So when you're making this comparison, if you're going to say that, then you need to say
Andy Roddick.
But Andy Roddick was questioned, because the first thing that happened when he joined with Stefanki was, you saw Andy Roddick and he was skeletal.
Stefanki said he lost life.
And they made a point of the fact that it was because he had lost weight and that he was able to move better, move up to the ball, blah, blah, blah.
That didn't help him anyway.
That's fine. It's fine, but he got to the final of Wimbledon, and it was talked about.
Was he got to the final with Wimbledon with Stefanki?
Yes, he did. That's where he did it. So what I'm trying to say is that I think it's fine to say, well, the men never get asked about these things, but when we make these comparisons, they can't be weird and random. You know, like Marty Fish is not Victoria Azarenka. Azarenka was known for her fitness. She was known for her movement. One of the things that's been so interesting is to listen to people try to explain why Azarenka is not at the level she has been. And the big elephant in the room is her fitness and possibly her weight and possibly the fact that she has not been able to train as much because of her injury issues. And all of that is tied up into the general idea of fitness versus weight. That's one thing. You could say this, maybe you can ask the same question of Nadal. Nadal is thinner, and people have noted that. And people have asked him, oh, why are you thinner because you're trying to take much pressure off your legs? I mean, these are things that have come up. So it's not, I think it's the projection sometimes that, oh, you're asking this question in a salacious way. No.
Well, we have to understand that in general, the general rule is you don't ask women about their weight, and that's why it becomes an issue. However, I think when you're talking about sport, it's irrelevant.
But see, that's the problem.
No, it's irrelevant. I think it is relevant.
No, I think when I'm saying it's irrelevant to say we can't talk about it because it is sport. Yes, we absolutely can because it is sport.
We need to every other sport. Be careful about these things because every other sport in the world becomes a sexist label, and I'm like, everything is not a moment to cry sexism. Was the question asked inappropriately? Maybe. Is it a valid question? It's a valid question. It's a valid series.
And the truth is, it probably was asked in such a way because it is so sensitive that people don't know how to broach the topic.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
My thing was, I can ask you the big thing in the room, which is fitness, because we can never ask female athletes about their fitness anymore, because supposedly if you're too muscular, that's an insult. You know what I mean? I just think that I don't know if it was an absolute. There's no absolute way to come down on it.
But I think perhaps you should try the approach, but then again, I don't know if they could meet these players in private. But maybe these questions need to be, I don't know, framed differently, perhaps the approach is, but I don't necessarily, initially, or maybe you need to check yourself how you're asking the question, right? that you need to maybe write it down on a piece of paper and say, like, is this really awkwardly? You know what I mean? Because you're right, it is a legitimate thing to ask athletes. It is. But my point is that sometimes I feel that, we don't weight issues, but maybe weight issues don't come up amongst the men because the men are generally, quote unquote, they look fitter.
No, weight issues come up against for the men all the time. I mean, look at Lubicic was one of the bigger guys on tour. When it came up, what the code word usually is, this person's not as fit as they should be. When it was the same thing with Andy, they would always say the person's not as fit.
But
I think that's usually the way they frame it. They frame it around fitness. They don't frame it around weight. But see, what happens on the women's tour is everything gets boiled down into weight, possibly. And so because you can't even ask any question along any of those lines, you never actually get a chance to explore the issue.
Right.
Not from a reporter angle. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, commentators and people will say weird things and it's horrible. We get that. But how about responsible reporters? Why can't a responsible reporter talk about the fact that there are fitness issues? I think I've seen a couple.
Let me just say, Tsonga is fat. Let me just say that Tsonga is fat.
But Tsonga's weight comes up all the time in commentary. Actually,
they say, he's bigger than everybody else.
He's bigger than ever this week, and
he's not fat.
He's bigger. He's bigger.
It's
a lot of weight. It's a lot of weight.
He's bigger, but he's not fat. Everybody says Stan is fat. Stan is not fat. He's just bigger.
Stan doesn't look fat.
I have heard Stan be called fat many times over the years, and he's not fat. But he's not. That's
I've
just
seen
it.
him shirtless.
The thing is, we have this
to prove to me he's not fat.
Well, he's not. But we have these superstar men who are tall and thin. Look at Novak. Look at Roger. They're very thin.
Right, but I'm telling you.
So then
we've also remarked about Roger's body too. I mean, see, this is the interesting thing because Roger's body. We've always talked about the fact people talk about it quite openly that Roger does not have a six-pack compared to Rafa Nadal, and now we've also mentioned the fact that Rafa Nadal looks thinner, which Chris Everett actually mentioned openly on air. I mean, there are places where we do talk about the men's bodies. It's just the assumptions about it are very different. Nobody is up in arms because we don't think it's sexist to talk about men's bodies. But as soon as you enter this space with the women, it's immediately sexist. And I think that we always have to sort of check ourselves about calling everything sexism because then the word loses all its weight, really.
And we also become counterproductive because nobody is there to basically critique the fact that, Azarenka is overweight.
And I don't know if she's overweight, but she's
overweight for a tennis player.
Or she's unfit at the moment because she can't practice because she's injured a lot. That's fine for us to have that conversation. But the amount of gingerly language around it has just been ridiculous. It's like, do you want to talk about these women as athletes or don't you? And do you want to project all these other things onto them just because they're women? Or don't you?
Let me tell you something.
Let me just say,
I will be Azarenka fat any day.
Oh Lord! But see, that's different because the question is: are you normal person fat or are you
to be a Taylor fat?
Exactly.
Oh no. But see, but let's get there. Let's get into it. I'm not going to get into this whole thing about Taylor Townsend being fat or not. But one of the things that I think has really hampered the dialogue around young up-and-coming players and their chances on tour is because we don't have a way to talk about bodies for women in the sport anymore because of what happened to Taylor Townsend tragically with Patrick McEnroe. We've actually swung so far to the other way that we can't even engage in a conversation about being a young player a young female player transitioning onto the women's tour. We talk about it quite a bit on the men's tour, right? We talk about, well, this person is, they can't survive. They need to bulk up. They need to get their fitness in check. They can't hang with the older guys. They need to be hitting the gym in a different way.
Right?
No, not positive because those were the complaints about Grigor. Those are the complaints about the young.
No, but I think it's something different when they're saying. It sounds different when they're saying you have to gain weight as opposed to you have to lose.
But maybe that's the difference.
No. Stop. There is something that we are completely ignoring here, and it is basic science. When these kids are young and they are growing and they are going through puberty. understand that it happens differently for men than it happens for
Right.
women.
Of course.
And their bodies do different things. And it's something that we don't take into account, or I'm not going to say we don't take it into account. We don't discuss it openly and publicly. Because honestly, when the whole thing with Taylor Townsend came up, I thought, okay, she's young. Her body is doing things that people aren't wanting to talk about. And it's basic science of the body. And you kind of figure, she's going to get older. She's naturally going to, as she plays more and does more, get more fit and thin out. It's just kind of something that you expect to happen. And when Azarenka started putting on weight a little bit some years ago, you know, she was still young. And you got to realize that when athletes' bodies are different from non-athletes' bodies. Their bodies change at different times. Whereas, you know, myself, I may have been developing into a woman at the age of maybe 14, 15. These girls are putting their bodies through these vigorous exercise programs, and it happens later. So that's not something that people want to talk about. And for a guy, they get tall and they get lanky. That's just what they do.
Yeah, they do. Men do build up their muscular build in their 20s.
Yes, it happens later, and that's something that we don't acknowledge openly, I guess, when we're talking about athletes. So we see these young guys, and they're like, you know, oh, you wanna make it on the pro level, you're gonna have to get bigger. But when we're talking about a 16, 17-year-old guy, or even 17, 18 years old, it's not always a possibility. You know, you have to wait to get older for your body to develop to be able to do those things.
But we do. What they do that. They do talk about them and understand that and say that and express that, because
but we don't talk about that with the women.
No, because usually, I mean, I don't understand why you have female commentators if you don't have them on the if you don't have them there to provide some context as a woman. But of course, when people get into the press box or when they get wherever, suddenly you're supposed to sort of like speak in this kind of weird, generalized, objective tone, which is essentially just the male gaze. And so now you can't even talk about female bodies, female processes, anything, because sometimes it gets lumped into a sort of general sexist label. So that's what I'm saying. It's like we have not trained each other as fans to hear what's okay to talk about, and then also what's appropriate to actually say on the air. And I think so people have these weird expectations. And so for me, it's like I do hear the male commentators and a lot of the male reporters, they're very understanding of the journey that a young male athlete is going to go on to get to that place where they can physically handle tennis. But you don't hear people talking that way about the female athletes.
Exactly. And you know, there's with a woman, I don't know if you've ever had any interaction with an elite athlete. Okay? And I have. So I'm speaking from experience. You have to understand that there's a reason why there's not a bunch of pregnant people on tour, because we all know they're having sex.
Yeah.
Seriously. I mean, let's keep it very basic. Women are given medications so that they don't have periods. They're being pumped full of hormones constantly for years. And if you think for 1 second that doesn't mess with a woman's body, you're crazy. You're crazy.
What's the point?
The point is that just everything is just different, but it's nothing that we want to talk about. And the women develop in a very different way than the average woman when you're talking about an elite athlete. Because, I mean, everybody is the nicest person in the world.
So the larger point you're making, though, Janina, is that people need to stop projecting normalized standards
onto elite athletes.
Yes. So so to assume that Azarenka is going to feel about her body the way that you or I feel about it, you might have to check yourself a little bit, because she's an athlete and she has different expectations for her body to perform in a certain way than we would if we were in her position.
Her body is going to develop differently than a non-athlete.
Yes, and so the expectation on it and the expectation she has needs to be very clear. I found that a lot of the comments and a lot of the challenges about that dialogue was about people projecting things onto the athlete as if this athlete was like a woman sitting at a desk as a secretary.
Sure. You know what? People are uneducated and they don't even understand. How many men can you sit down and have a true, honest, knowledgeable conversation with about a woman's body? in
But
her
do they know?
hormones.
Do they know?
Well,
I
No,
mean,
but
that's what I'm
also,
saying. They don't know, and this is the sport world is driven by men, and they don't know because who teaches them? I mean, it's
well, I mean,
something that's
somebody
dealt
needs to
with
start
mothers
interrupting.
and aunts and grandmothers and whatnot. You don't talk about that with men.
Or
well,
you
I
don't
It's
think,
talk
not
but,
about
but,
something
but the
that
other
people are
thing I think,
educated on.
but Andrine just mentioned, I
They're
think
ignorant to it
important is that you do have women in the commentary box
and
and they don't say
they're not
saying
giving
anything.
that context.
Exactly.
well, because they're sitting there with a man 9 times out of 10, and they're what? You're gonna be just sitting there on TV, and they're
But
gonna, huh?
the other thing too is that like, we get
No.
so turned off and on about having any kind of conversation in this event. But anyway, I think we could spend forever on this, but I
Yeah,
do
and this
want to
topic.
point out,
How about, well, can I just make a final point? There's a reason why we are excited when diversity enters the space. And so you're not there as a female commentator to just sit there and echo what the male commentator
thank you
said.
very much.
You're there to provide color commentary because you're supposed to bring a different point of view because you've had a
Yes.
lived experience. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you're supposed to be the female voice, but damn it, you are the female
Female
voice.
voice,
So
Own
exactly.
you
it.
might
Own
want to
it.
own it and shade it in a certain way and
And
figure
bring
out a
and please
way.
tell us
Yeah.
what exactly is going on in the locker room because apparently you can't have Fergus Tchaikovsky running around saying y'all are just being lesbians in there.
No,
And
that's
mind you,
fine.
folks,
But yeah.
there's nothing wrong with being a lesbian, people. There's just nothing
Where
wrong
did that come from? What is that
with men.
segue?
I'm just
What
saying.
is that segue?
I'm just saying. Just hold on.
Reels? What is that segue?
I'm sorry. I just went off in a whole different other place.
Yeah,
But anyway,
that's segue.
That's
But
how we
while
anyway,
we're
roll.
yes.
talking about the
That's how
men,
it. So
let's talk
yeah.
about the men. I just want to say congratulations to Milos Raonic and Sanga for winning
Yes.
titles. So that was pretty
Oh, they
good.
won
That was
titles?
great. Yes, they did. Yes.
Yes, they did. They won
Again,
titles
I was
last.
sleeping.
They won
Yes,
titles last.
yeah, it was
Um,
great. I mean, Songa beat Simone when he really shouldn't have.
I like to call that Mets tournament, that Mets Open French National Championship
I
because
love
I
it.
swear
I
to
love
God,
it.
I saw every single Frenchman that I could imagine thought was dead play that Open, play that event. But you know what? I must say, the French boys come out for France. I mean, like
Yes,
the
they
French
did.
fans love their tennis. They love when the French
You
are doing
couldn't
well.
complain. You were not going to be sitting around complaining about lack of crowds. There are
You will
people
not be
showing
sitting
up
around.
for that tournament. You know
I
what
don't
I
even want to
mean?
even talk about Wuhan. I'm telling you.
Well, we listen. We all understand that tennis is being grown in China. That's what,
Right.
or Asia, really in
Right.
general.
Actually, I had a Twitter conversation with Courtney because I was really saying, I'm just like, look, I can see. I think there were more. I could get more people to come into my bedroom than I could come into Wuhan.
Well, I don't know what you're doing in your bedroom.
No, people don't get it twisted.
We're
Look,
not privy to that.
I am a good.
Nor are we wanted.
He's a good
I keep.
Christian boy,
I'm
apparently.
just simply saying. I'm
No,
just
we
simply
get
saying
it.
that you know what? Your uncle's barbecue in his backyard got more people than I saw watching Wuhan.
It was sad.
It was, I mean, like the up. Look, you know when you watch that first shot, like you know when you watch the tennis
Yeah.
tournament, they just literally zoom to when they're walking back to the back court. That was all the people you were there in the
But
tournament,
it's in its second year.
right?
The tournament is in its second year. You have to understand the
Well,
history of
that's what
tennis.
she
Like,
said.
what's
That's
the
what she
history of
said.
tennis in Asia? The history of tennis in
Yeah,
France long. So
right. That's what she
if you
mentioned.
had a
And
ping
it was
pong
really
tournament, I guarantee you there'd be a crowd.
right. Well, that's the thing that you mentioned. The context that it was definitely. This is an industrial city.
Yep.
The logistics to get to and from the event itself is difficult.
Yep.
It's like 40 minutes away from that area. But I'm just simply saying, people, it ain't a surprise this event is coming there. They are marketing it. She mentioned that there were
Yeah.
posters all over the place. But I'm just saying, empty out some school, have a school day. Just, I mean, like, you got 15 billion people living in China, okay?
Oh my
You,
God.
I mean,
But you know what? You have to also understand
I
that
mean,
because I
you
think
could,
this it always comes up. But you know what? This used to
it's
happen
not,
in LA as well. I mean, it happened when they had the Davis Cup in San Diego for the Americans as well. I mean, we all have to understand that it always comes up on the Asian side. There are not enough people over there. There are actually legitimate reasons why there
right.
aren't people over
They're
there.
working.
People are working. It's a new tournament. It's a new sport relative to that country. When you want to really critique lack of crowds is in cities where tennis is old and they're not showing up. That's really. I mean,
True,
Yeah,
fair
when
enough.
people stop showing up to Wimbledon and you don't have to camp out to get a ticket, we got a problem.
yeah, but you know, this is Lina City, right? So the
Right.
question is, it took years for Shanghai to even get comfortably crowded. Years of the ATP
Actually,
building
they
that.
had to bring the World Tour finals there first.
Yes, there's a strategy to doing it.
So
So
you
I think
definitely had a
yes,
whole bunch of people from, you were definitely getting an international crowd coming there anyway,
So I
exactly. And also,
because it
guess
was the big
yeah,
tournament end of the year. And
if
then after that
Wuhan,
ended, they made Shanghai into a Masters event. Because I
yeah.
didn't think it was a Masters event before.
if
So,
Wuhan is still empty in 5 years,
Then
right.
you
we
have a
got a
problem.
problem.
Then problem.
Yeah.
Courtney did mention that. She said that indeed, that if you have a problem. Um,
Is that what
and
Courtney said?
yeah, she mentioned
After
that.
several years, you have to give these tournaments
Yeah,
some
she
time to
mentioned that
develop
It was
because
kind of sad to
it
see,
was
though. I
bad.
mean,
It
It
was.
looked
it
really
was
bad.
it was almost like when Nole was walking around holding up the trophy and everybody had
Stop it
left.
every year or so. But you know, I
No,
will. Can I make that? Can I also
no, it's
make that a
that.
point though? Can I make the point though that in Barcelona, after Rafa Nadal lost, that crowd was similar. All right. So this notion that Europeans, as Petkovic would say,
Yeah. Oh God. Can you please be quiet?
uh, you know, I mean, I think, you know, listen, tennis in general has its periods, right, where it can grow, and if certain people aren't in this, if certain people aren't in the stands, or if certain people aren't playing, the stands are empty. We all know this. Wuhan more so than ever, but it happens in all the other tournaments. I just want to point that out.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And I would say when Serena won U.S. Open last year, the crowd
Oh,
emptied
stop
out.
it! Stop.
They did. They ran like the Doppler had a hurricane coming. It was like
Are you
hurricane.
are you calling Serena Williams Djokovic? Is that what you're trying to say right
I'm
now?
just simply saying people thought that people somehow thought Wozniacki had a shot. I don't know why. She only had 3 winners.
Maybe it
Stop.
was the same. Maybe it was the same thing that happened to people at the U.S. Open this year. They showed up expecting Raja to do something, and then Raja went down in flames in four
No,
sets,
Roger. They
and they
expected
all
and
ran.
legitimately had reason to believe Roger just couldn't convert and break points.
I know
Roger,
he
Well,
had so many chances.
don't,
I just
Roger, don't make me
reread.
a bit. Roger, don't make me
Uh,
become a bitter bitch on my
I
podcast,
just,
please.
I
Though.
know. I just rewatched that mentally in my mind, and there were so many chances.
Oh God.
So many chances. All right, let's
Better
move on.
rather move on. Anyway, you just mentioned Petkovic, and look,
Sorry.
Andrea, girl, look, you've already been in my bad books since by is it when you almost clocked a lines person with a racket.
it's okay.
And everybody tried to white explain that away and be like, oh, she was
Stop it!
exuberant, whatever the case may
The
be.
word of the day.
Is white
Exuberant?
explain.
Explain.
That is
And
clearly your word. Could you define it, please, for me? I don't know what that is.
you don't know? You know
No,
what? I keep,
I'm just
I'm watching
teasing.
a lot of
But you
interesting
know, I'm just,
blogs. And
I want you to explain words that you introduce on our podcast that other
someone
people.
said to me, someone said on, I was into a lot of podcasts, not podcasts, but a lot of video blogs on YouTube. And someone said, it's not my job to educate people. Go read a book. Go do some research. Okay? If
I
you're
read a
not
lot of
sure,
books.
because you know what? I am trying to educate you here anyway. And if you can't get it, then I don't know what else to tell you. But you know, I mean, my definition for white splaining is when people are basically trying to tell me that something that I'm watching basically is happening, and you don't even need to put any context of race in it. Actually, no, I would. It's when a white person does something and you find an explanation for it, and when a person of color does the same exact thing and you demonize that same action.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
And then
I always just assume it's when somebody tells you that the action you've done is racist and you deny it by giving a really weird and twisted
that
explanation.
too. That's definition number 2. It can have multiple definitions.
Oh,
But I would say, I
maybe
mean,
I was, but you know what? Maybe it's fair. Maybe I was mansplaining away sexism
well,
earlier.
well, in
I think
particularly,
maybe
the
What was
particular,
I? Maybe
a little
well,
bit.
the funny thing is that
I might have been. Sorry, I might have
they,
been. You know,
no.
I'm not always quick on the
As a man,
trigger.
I do think what you were saying were quite valid. It was definitely the things that you were saying were very, very valid in terms of when you're talking about fitness and women, etc. Because we do run amok when we always claim that something is that everything
An
becomes
ism.
an ism, and then it sort of loses its value because and then that becomes we get confused because today I saw this thing where a woman ran onto the field and grabbed a man's butt on baseball field, and they said had a man done it to a woman on a soccer team, he would be in jail
Oh,
and
hell yeah.
be labeled a sex offender. But my thing is that he's saying that's your feminism for you, but it's that this isn't feminism. This is your judicial system. You need to reach out to your judicial system and tell them that this woman needs to be in jail.
Oh
This
my
isn't
God.
about this isn't
Well,
about feminism.
the isms are all built on an understanding of structure. That's really what it comes down to. That's what
Right.
it's about.
So
It's like me casually doing something as a lone individual doesn't carry as much weight if the system isn't supporting me. If the system was supporting my behavior, you could probably accuse me of sexism, but generally the system isn't supporting me.
well the
So
funny
my way
thing is
is
well his little meme well I
Oh,
think his
shit.
meme was directed at women, basically supposed to say, shut up with your brand of feminism because you see, feminism is as being a woman, you're benefiting here. You're benefiting from the fact you could run on the field and grab this man's butt. But
that's just because
my
people
thing is
get confused.
exactly, she should
No,
be in
it's
jail.
because the man probably liked it. He shouldn't wear such tight pants.
Oh my God! Stop it! You've now crossed the line.
And he should have put on a
Crazy.
towel. He
Okay,
should have been wearing those tight.
stop it. Stop it. Okay, I'm pulling you all back
Anyway,
from the
anyway,
ledge.
anyway, we don't
Pulling
have
you
much
all
time
back
left.
from
We
the
don't have
ledge.
much time left. But I would say that in terms of Petkovic, why I'm bringing up Andrea Petkovic, she's already my bad book since earlier the year. Andrea Petkovic was at Wuhan this time around, and she was complaining. I mean, there was nobody in the crowd, so I would admit that since there weren't many people there, every little cough, gesture, movement, you can probably hear it on court. And she got decisively, upset with the crowd, that she was engaging the crowd, etc. When she just got broken, she's playing Johanna Konta, and as always, the conditions are the same for both people. And she's playing Johanna Konta, she was down 4-5 because Konta was going to serve for the set. The umpire made an announcement to the crowd in Chinese, a Mandarin, that they should be quiet and whatever. Apparently, Andrea didn't hear that. So there she was talking to her coach in German, and she just stopped the man point blank and said to the umpire, "You need to tell him it in Chinese because the English people know how to behave." She said, "Don't say it in English. Say it in Chinese because English people know how to behave."
He
And the
said,
coach,
I already did.
and the umpire said, "I already did," when she said, "You need to say it in Chinese." And the coach is looking at her like, "Bitch, what the fuck?" It's like, well, maybe it might have been like,
Or
girl,
maybe he
you
was
just,
saying this was better when you said it in German.
maybe he was looking at her like, "You just interrupted me. I'm trying to help you get out of this match, and you just like
God.
cut me off to deal with the umpire." But everybody was just like, "Well, it's Chinese people in the crowd, right?" But I mean, just like it was totally inappropriate, and that was rude, and it
Oh
is.
God.
I would say I wouldn't. I don't want to use, but you know what? It's culturally insensitive, and it's ridiculous too. And I mean, like, this is totally unacceptable. And I mean, someone need. I didn't hear anyone call for her to be fined because people white explained it away and said, like, oh, maybe she was exuberant, and it was Chinese in the crowd, so she was all right.
Well,
But the
what would she
umpire,
be fined for?
well, I mean, like, that's not appropriate comments. I mean, like, I'm not saying that she should be fined. I said I didn't hear anyone saying she should be fined. People are calling for people to be fined for every goddamn thing, aren't they?
I mean, I don't know. Did Vinci get fined for being like, fuck? You want some coffee? You
No,
want some
actually,
tea?
No. I mean,
no,
that
she
was
didn't
more
get fined.
interactional, wasn't it?
Actually, she didn't even get fined for throwing the racket at the man's head.
Listen, you know what? I don't want any of these people to get fined. You know what I want? I just simply like having information about you. That's all. I like to know that this was actually Andrea Petkovic's internal monologue that she had going, that she let us in on a glimpse of it. I'm okay with that. Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is like, it's the label. People don't realize that I'm not saying it's okay, but people have prejudicial ideas and prejudicial notions, and it will come out. And it will, and if you want to deny it and pretend that you're perfect and lalaga, then you know what? It's going to shock you. But it's okay. I'm going to say it happened. I'm going to call her on it. I want her to acknowledge that she had a racist moment, and then she could say, you know what, that was really horrible of me, and I'm going to go get some cultural sensitivity training and read a book. And then, say, and then I mean, really, at some point in time, that's all you can do, right? At this
she's
point,
gonna probably say like Leighton Hewitt, I am not racial.
I don't even care
I
anymore.
am sorry he got offended, but I know that I wasn't being racial here.
That's okay. And you know what? And I'm gonna look at you, pat you on the head, and say that's cute, and move on. And then make a little, tick in the back of my brain. Let's not invite ourselves over to Leighton's house. But
exactly.
I'll
see Leighton late at night after 12 o'clock. Run away.
No, but I mean, I want to come back to something that we had mentioned in our previous podcast, because for the folks that listen to us, it's really important for us to attend to that. One of the things that we said that it's Adrian, which is at Chalk Flew Up. And
right.
It's Adrian, I think. Adrian.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, he always come for me because I come after Madison Keys.
He comes
for everybody.
He comes for all of us. But it's okay. This time, this wasn't a come for me. It was basically really just reminding us of our ongoing conversation that we want to have with our podcast listeners about epic matches. And he had given us some of his epic matches. And so I believe it's a he. If I'm getting that wrong, please excuse me. But usually I'm pretty good about the sex and gender issues, but I can't tell. So I just wanted us to remind us that we're gonna come. Maybe one or two of you could say what you think makes an epic match, so we can keep that dialogue going. And
I actually think I do agree with him. He mentioned one of the things that I think stood out for me. He said, he doesn't agree that the epic matches are what makes a really good match is when there's a blowout, when your faves is beating the other person, beat down. But I mean, I like a heavily contested match. I think for me, one of the matches that stood out in my mind as an epic match, though it doesn't get a lot of play because of the match beforehand, was the 2009 Wimbledon men's finals, Roger Federer versus Andy Roddick, because I thought both players were playing exceptionally well, and it wasn't. The only reason why Federer won was because he served first, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, yeah, he served first in the fifth set, and he broke Roddick to win the match. And I don't even think Roddick was broken. That was the only time Roddick got broken, probably. But I may be wrong. But I mean, that was a really good match. I thought both men played exceptionally well. Andy Roddick did the things that I wish he wouldn't do. Came to net, and he didn't come out gangbusters. I thought it was one of the best matches he's ever played in his life, and that was an enjoyable contest. I think on the women's side, it could have been a little sloppy as hell, but I thought 2005 Wimbledon final, Venus versus Lindsay Davenport, that was a very nicely contested match. I thought both women were equally on equal level, and both women either one could have won that match. And same goes against for Kvitova versus Venus last year. I thought both women played exceptionally well, and it could have been either one could have won that match. And that's the thing that I like to see for me, an epic match. It goes to the wire. Both players are playing their best there. When they get a chance to do what they're supposed to do, they both have clear game plans, and they're both executing their game plan
as well as possible. That's what makes it.
For me, that's what makes it epic. I mean, I'm there for a blowout if it's my fave doing the blowout. But if it's my fave getting blown out, I'm not there for that. I can't.
So that is Realz's explanation of what makes it epic. Next week we'll come back around and find out what Janina's notion of an epic match is. Then we'll roll around and do someone else the following week, and then we'll list our epic matches from this year. And we want to know what yours are. So yeah, that's it. I just wanted to come back to that because I hate to leave our listeners hanging.
Yes. The only thing is, so we are in Beijing this week. The women, Venus is gonna play Beijing. Nole is in Beijing, and we have men in, if I'm not mistaken, Tokyo.
Mm-hmm.
Men are in Tokyo as well. They're both 500 events. Donald Young is surprisingly in Asia. I mean, usually I thought he stays home, but apparently he's out and about. I know people come for me because of Madison Keys. I'm just simply saying Madison Keys could have won one of those little tiny tournaments someplace. But anyway, it would have been nice to see her at the World Tour final. Just saying. But
Well, you know, in hindsight is 2020. See, this is what happens when you.
I've never seen her play indoors, so I'm
when you don't
surprised to
keep
see.
the long game, right? If everybody kept the long game, you might have we might have had more people in the running, right?
I mean, someone said to me mathematically, Kuznetsova could get into the World Championship. And to me, that's just utter madness to me. That's just crazy.
I kind of love it. Get there, Svetlana,
See,
get there.
I told you. See?
I mean, that's craziness. Because Kuz didn't even play for like 4 months. I mean, like,
Stop.
But you know what? It can happen. It
could happen. But yeah. So, do we have any questions for our fan this week? I mean, fans, you know, we're in the Asia swing of things, you know, and things that are as juicy and exciting as it leads up to majors, as it were, all in the year. I would like to hear from you what you would like for us to discuss, probably things, questions you have for us. We'd love to hear. I mean, like, you have full minds here. I can't say that my mind is brilliant, but I know my tennis hosts are brilliant. I mean, I could say, you know, my co-hosts are brilliant minds. So, you know, you can pick their brains, and I could probably bring in something lewd and inappropriate, as always.
Oh, my gosh.
So, you know, anything, we are definitely open for questions and suggestions. Please comment below. And also, just in case you didn't know, we are on Podbean. I know a lot of you complain that, you know, it takes up a lot of bandwidth with YouTube. So we're trying to get on another platform for you. So we're on Podbean. You can look for us, RealzTenisFanz, the same name as always, podcast. We're there. All our episodes are uploaded there, all 28, actually 30-something episodes, actually. We're now on podcast.
Yeah, catch up, people, catch up.
Catch up. There's a lot. You can hear from us from our rudimentary beginning to when we were basic broke people, to when we got kind of developing some fame, high points, and whatnot, okay? Any questions, suggestions, and as always, we would love a sponsor.
Oh my God, you're making
So
a sponsor.
if your uncle, auntie, mother, brother, sister, child died and left you a nice inheritance, please.
Send it our way.
Well,
just some tech-savvy information.
I'm excited. You know what? This is going to be a fun week. Everybody's sort of back on tour. The
Right.
men and I love it. I mean, it's funny. Back in the day, I hated joint events, but now I kind of enjoy joint events now that I'm doing a podcast because it makes life a lot easier. So now the ladies and the men are in Beijing, and so it's going to be a fun ride. There's some fun. Look at this. Guess who's playing tomorrow, Janina? Your fave.
Who's playing tomorrow?
Let's just say what's going to be fun. Svetlana Kuznetsova is playing Sloane Stephens.
Oh, shit.
That's going to be, yeah, there you go. That's an oh shit moment.
Oh, Svetlana. Well, you know, if she's healthy, I'm not worried because...
There you go.
But she's never healthy anymore. Svetlana, just come to me, baby girl. Come to me.
Yes, Sanga is playing. Oh, Petkovic versus Bouchard. Bouchard is coming back.
So
Yeah.
Bouchard is gonna
Her head is better.
So that's really good news. Let's hope it is. Let's hope it will be. So there's some fun matchups already. What do you?
Versus Seppi. It's gonna be a good match.
There's some really fun ones.
I'm just gonna wait and read the headline.
I just saw Samantha Stosa's name here on the draw, and Stosa, I believe, if I'm not mistaken,
Stosa's gonna be playing Monica
Nicolescu. Stosa, I mean, I can't even. I'm looking at you side eye. You let Lucic Baroni drag you 6-2, 6-1, girl. Get alive.
Stop it. You can't say that because Lucic Baroni beat Halep, and Halep is the gold standard. So.
And she beat Venus too.
Oh God.
Represent for the woman. Carla Suarez Navarro, can she stick around because she's been losing a ton of matches? So it's gonna be a definite. Beijing,
and you know what?
should definitely revive people's tennis life for this week. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what's going to be really great about it? This week we're going to move away from the singular narrative that has been Nolay's all summer, and we're going to finally be able to proclaim that Nolay is loved because where do? They love him in Beijing.
They do.
Yes, they do.
And
they love his sponsor. Get it right.
Bangkok. Oh, I did watch that match, people. I did watch Nadal versus
Oh, did you watch it? Please tell us that
it
before we leave. You watched the match in Thailand, the exhibition match.
So tell me,
70 minutes for $1 million each. Is that what it was?
Who took it
how much?
seriously?
How much? Wait. What?
You heard that right.
I'm gonna try to get final figures on that. I'll confirm it next week, but I believe it was $1 million.
Each?
I believe so. That's a nice paycheck, no?
Look. The only thing that was on exhibition was Joker's skill level. Vidal ain't ready for this life anymore. He looked tired. He was dragged. Maybe we could say it's an exhibition, but I think we must say that when there's certain players are playing, it's never an exhibition. If Nadal and Federer are playing an exhibition, it's a real match. If Maria and Kim Clijsters and Maria and Serena and Kim Clijsters and Serena are playing an exhibition, it's a real match. It's a real match. But Nadal just wasn't. He's like a step or two behind, slower. I mean, the serve is problematic because Nole can literally tee off on the serve. He can have a return winner. And that's not a good thing for Vidal. So I'm gonna see what's gonna happen. I'm very interested to watch. I'm gonna be looking forward to Vidal matches in Beijing because I do think Vidal is losing street creds. I mean, for me, we'll see how that goes. But you know, Vidal can always. He's a phoenix. He always rises from the ashes.
Listen. Oh, this could be the year he captures the World Tour finals.
The finals, exactly.
This is how the world works.
But don't forget, you can always pull out, okay, like you did last year. Don't suffer an ignominy of a loss in the final anymore. No more.
Oh, stop it. This is great.
Anyway,
it's been really fun.
Don't you dare show up in Basel, Don't you dare show up in Basel for this shit. Anyway, good night. Don't forget, you can email us, text us, and put comments. Not text us, you know what I mean. Tweet
and
us.
Hopefully, the lovely Bridge P will be back. She'll be very proud of us. We spoke a lot about WTA tonight.
Exactly. She'll probably be mad that she doesn't get a say, though. But she will fill you in next week. Good night, good day, good. Have a
ciao.
Ciao. Bye.